Okay, I apologize for the last part of the video. The battery died on me. So we left off with finishing up the wheels. Now we're going to do the stairway. And I'm doing this first so that when we get the base and the walls up and everything like that, all we have to do is put the stairway on and the wheels. So yeah, we're going to this is what the chipboard stairway looks like. This is made out of chipboard. It's one layer, but I cut hinges on the back excuse me, on the back and glued them on. Instead of making double layers of just the steps and the base, I just put hinges on, and it made it pretty sturdy. So if you're kind of worried about using chipboard as your stairs, don't be, as long as you put hinges on the back. And I am going to show you how to do the hinges. They're not hard. And you can cut them to fit your stairway. Glue them down, and it makes them pretty sturdy. See, I can't even smash them up. So yeah, it did pretty good. So I was surprised at that. Now, this is what the popsicle sticks look like. If you're wanting to do the popsicle sticks, this is what the stairway will look like. I'm not really fond of the popsicle sticks. They hold up good. You can see I can't push them in or tear them up too much. I did glue them with wood glue. I did not use the hot glue gun because they kept coming off. Maybe you have better luck with it, or maybe I should use the Gorilla Glue. I don't know, but I did use the wood glue. Now you can use the white tacky glue. Just be sure that it doesn't show in the front. Now, you can either paint these, you can stain these. If you do that, they'll look pretty good, I think. I'm not fond of these, but you might be all right with it. Okay, another thing with the chipboard stairway, you can make the steps and then cover them with either paper or cardstock if you wish. You can paint them as well. Stain, I don't think will look too good on them. I don't think it will have a good appearance and make your travel wagon look too good. But you could paint them. Maybe even make them look like marble. I don't know. It'd be an idea. Just use your imagination. Okay, now this is what the popsicle sticks looks like before you cut, or before you put them all together. Just cut them at 2 1/4 inches across, and they're 3/8 inches wide. The chipboard is, the steps are 3/4 inch each one, and you need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the top base, and then there's a bottom base. I guess I haven't cut it yet, but there is a bottom base, and all the bases are the same size, no matter whether you make it for your wood or your chipboard or your balsa wood. Now I'm going to make my steps out of the balsa wood. I like the way it looks after I stain it, and so I'm going to do that. Now I put my templates down, and this is where the bottom base went. This is where the top base went. So I've got plenty of room on this small piece of balsa wood. And then I had room for all 5 steps, and they're the same size as the chipboard, so that would be easy to make. Now I'm going to start cutting this out, and to do that I'm going to use the craft knife, and so that you won't be bored with watching me cut this all out, and you'll have time to make yours. I'm going to stop the video at this time and cut these out, and then I'll show you how we glue them together. Okay, be right back. Okay, I finished cutting them out, and I want to show you something. I think I left that wood. The balsa wood, you can actually cut that with your scissors. I have a good pair of Fisker's scissors here. If you cut it with the grain, it will just break right off. It's really nice. If you cut it against the grain, it's a little tougher, but it does cut, and so it's pretty easy. It's a little tougher than chipboard, but not too much. So it's really good to work with. Now, the balsa wood is only a 1/16 of an inch thick. Now, if you get it at an 1/8 of an inch thick, it's way too thick for your steps. You'll have to have a little mini saw or something very, very sharp, some way to cut it. But I think the balsa wood is the best way to go. But whatever you prefer. Now, I'm getting ready to glue this together, and I'm going to take this apart. I'm going to use my wood glue. I can use the tacky glue, but I prefer using the wood glue on this. Now, I've laid it out the way I want it to come out. I'm going to do the steps first, and then I'm going to put the bases on. So right now, looks like that one needs to be trimmed. So I'm going to take my craft knife. It's got a little bulge in it right here. So I'm going to trim that off. Really easy trimmed. Okay. Now, this step will go down, and the base will go that way. So the next piece, I'm going to put this on the front of the step, right at the very, very edge, right at the edge. And you don't need much, just a little bit. Now, I'm going to put it down flat on my surface, and then put the other step right up against it. Just like that. And it'll make an L shape. And I'll leave it there for just a little bit, so it'll dry and stand up straight. Now, a lot of times I just leave it sitting, and then I'll put something up against it to make sure it's straight, and it'll hold it. Now, like I said, you can use hot glue, but I don't suggest it because I'm afraid that your steps will come apart. I prefer the tacky or the wood glue. You can get wood glue in smaller bottles. I get it by the gallon because I'm always using it. And I also get the Elmer's glue all by the gallon. You're saving a lot of money that way. A lot of money. If you're doing a lot of crafts. If you're not, then a smaller bottle would work just fine. And it will last you quite a long time. Okay, now I think that's going to hold up pretty good. So see how it's done? It's done pretty good. Just that little time I've been talking. Now, well, it's a little loose. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there a little bit. I'm going to go ahead. The next step will go in front, and it will go down just like this, except it will go down. So you're going to put your glue right here on the edge, and then put your next step up like this against that. Then you're going to continue that until all the steps are done. When this dries and I get them all together, except the two bases, I'll be back. Okay, we're going to finish assembling the stairway now. Excuse me. At the top of the stairs, at the bottom of the stairs, we're going to put some glue, wood glue. Your steps are going to go right up against the very end. It looks like I'm going to have to trim that back a little bit. It's bowed. So I'm going to trim that. There we go. Alright. Now, I've marked it, center it the best you can on the bottom base. It's the bigger base. You're going to put some glue down. Right here. Right on the edge. And a little toward the back. Like that. Make like a box. Alrighty, now we're going to set, sorry, we're going to set this right at the very edge of the base. And then put it in the center, so if I face it toward me I can see better. Looks like I'm going to have to hold it a while. Put your top base up here. And it's going to go right on the edge, right there. So you're going to glue this along the edge, right here. Let me get in the center here. And then you're going to lay this like this. It's going to be just like a step, except it's going to extend back. And I'll show you the reason for that when we get ready to do when we get ready to put this on the wagon. So it looks like I'm going to have to hold this a while. And you go ahead and glue that on. We'll wait for that to dry and I'll be back. Okay, what I did was went on and glued the top base on, and I glued the bottom base on. I also glued the two sides on, the decorative lasered from wood pile. Yeah. I give the links down below to where you can buy those. You can also get those at JS Crafties, I think it is. Anyway, it's down below as well, by Shelly Geigel. She's really good at making this, and this is where I got the idea from. She's a very, very sweet person, very knowledgeable. Okay, so now I've got both sides on. I've got the top base on, the bottom base on, and I'm getting ready to paint this. I'm going to paint the steps black. I don't think I'm going to paint these. I'm going to stain these brown. So I'm going to paint them black. You can paint yours any way you want. Oh, what did I take that off for? I can squeeze that in. Get ahead of myself. Alright. It don't take much, just a little bit. Okay. Now, I'm not only going to paint this, I'm also going to paint the axle holders. If we haven't, I don't think we've gone over these, but these are 3/4 of an inch wide and an inch, let's see, yeah, 1.25 inches long, 3/4 wide. You're going to need 4 of these, and I made them out of foam board. When we get ready to put that onto the base, our wheels onto the base, we're going to have to put a hole in that. So get your ice pick ready, or whatever you're putting holes into your wheels for or with. You'll need to put some holes in that, but we'll have to do that when we get ready to put it on the wagon. We can't do that right now because they'll have to line up. One thing I think I failed to mention was you might want to get some Mod Podge and cover your wagon. I may have mentioned that earlier. I don't remember, but if I didn't, than I'm telling you now. You may need some Mod Podge. It's optional, but the reason is it will protect the outside of your wagon longer than if you just left it without it. You can get it in various kinds, but if you don't want a glossy finish, they have it in satin or matte. The only thing I have right now is gloss, and I don't mind. It kind of gives it character. On the sides, if you don't have this decorative piece of wood, you can always use something solid, or if you have a Cricut, you could cut out something out of not poster board, cardstock. You could cut it out of the chipboard. Anything like that will give it some decoration. You can also leave them off. You don't have to put it on if you don't wish. The only thing it takes the longest is the drying of the glue, and that really doesn't take a long time, maybe half hour or less, 10 minutes. It just depends on, actually it depends on the humidity and if it's hot out or cooler out, or the temperature of the room. Just many factors play into that. Be sure and get the edge. If you paint it, be sure and get the edge. Or if you put paper on it, just be sure that the edge is covered so it doesn't have an unfinished look. Remember, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll do my very best to answer those for you. If I leave something out, and I'm human just like anyone else. I do make mistakes. So if I leave something out, a step or two, just remind me and ask me. I'll be glad to answer. I'll be glad to do whatever I can to help you out with your projects. And if there's something that you'd like for me to give a tutorial on, just leave it in the comments below. Alright, that's it. That's it. That's it. Now I'm going to close that up until I'm ready for it. Well, I think I'm going to paint these as well. While I got my paint out, I might as well do that. These are the axle holders, and it actually holds the skewer, part of the skewer. I'm going to paint those as well. Looks like we need a little more paint. Alright, a few drops. Okay. Shouldn't take me long. I think I'll paint these others and then I'll come right back. That way I'm not boring you, and you can work on your project as well. Now, okay, for what I call the most exciting part, starting to assemble our wagon. This is the base where the wheels and the walls and all that good stuff is going to go on it. So now, grab your paper that you've decided that you want on the floor and on the bottom of your base. If you don't want to put anything on the bottom here, that's fine. That's up to you. But I do suggest that you put something on here. You could paint it if you wish. That's up to you. I'm going to put paper on mine and show you how to do that. I think it gives it more character, but it's your wagon. You do what you want with this. Okay, I'm going to get my paper. Now then, I've chosen for the bottom part. That's the first thing we're going to do, is the under part, underneath the base. I laid the base down on my paper. Now let me show you. This has a pattern. The pattern is running this way. That's the way I want my flooring or my base to look. So I laid it on the pattern. Like I had explained earlier, be sure that you work with your pattern. So now I've laid it on here. I'm giving plenty of room on the sides of the paper. This is a 12 by 12. You can do it with an 8.5 by 11. Just be sure you have enough room on all sides because we're going to cut this paper out. Now I marked it, and this where the base ended around the edges, I did that. Now measure 1/4 of an inch from the edge of your mat. Measure out 1/4 of an inch. The reason for that is you're going to bring this up, and it's about 1/4. It's a little bit less than that, but when you turn it, it's going to come up to that. So, and then measure out another 1/2 inch all the way around, and then we're going to cut that off. So I'm going to use my paper cutter, and I'll be right back. Okay, now that I've got this cut, I also cut the top part. It has a pattern as well, and the top part runs this way. The top part is not cut like the other one. It's the top one for the floor inside the wagon is cut exactly the same size as the base. You can see there's nothing on the sides, no margin whatsoever. The only thing I haven't cut out are the little notches for the axles to go into, the axle holders to go into. I haven't snipped those out yet, but I will. Okay, we're going to put the bottom on first, and it doesn't matter which side you use. I'm going to use this side. So I'm going to lay this on here. Oops, got it the wrong way. Alright. You can see there's a little difference. There was like a 1/2 inch here. There's 2.5 inches from here. Now that's where your first notch will be on both sides. They're both 2.5 inches from the edge of the baseboard here. 2.5 inches here. The notch is 3/4 of an inch wide and 1/4 of an inch deep. The same over here, except this is 1.5 inches from the edge, and it is 1/4 inch deep and 3/4 inch wide. All your axles are the same. Okay, now, since the foam board is 1/4 of an inch thick, approximately, it's very close to that. That's why I allowed 1/4 of an inch on the side, because that's going to come up over the edge and then down. First, though, we're going to have to get our score tape out. Now, this is where the score tape comes in handy. Also, one more thing. We're going to have to cut the corners at an angle so that they will fit better. But I'm not going to cut that just yet. I'm going to wait until I have this part glued onto the board. So, let's put our score tape around here, here, all around here, as close to the edge as you can. And then you're going to put score tape up and down through here to keep it on and flat. Okay, here we go. I'm going to start mine right here. I'm going to stop right at the notch for the axle, and then I'm going to tear it off. Another good thing about this score tape is you can tear it. It has a paper backing on it that can be tore. It's very easy to work with. Alright. Okay, I got that part. Now I've got that. Now I'm also going to put it up and down through here, fairly close together, so that it won't. Now you can use glue if you want. The only thing is it will buckle. You'll get bubbles in it, and that's why I suggest the score tape. It doesn't cause buckles or bubbles in your paper. Now some have used Mod Podge. I don't try that. I mean, I guess you can. If you want to try that, that's up to you. And it doesn't buckle the paper as far as I know. I've used it a few times trying to glue down, but I prefer this much more because it's so firm. Alrighty, now I didn't put any over the notches. I don't know if I need to. We'll see. Alright, now then, now that we've got that, I'm going to put the score tape right in this 1/4 inch area and in the 1/2 inch area, close to the edge of the paper here. So put it in the 1/4 inch here, and then put it in the 1/2 inch here. So right here, it should fit exactly in that 1/4 inch area, because that paper is, or that score tape is exactly 1/4 inch. All right. All right. Now for the 1/2 inch, just go right along the very edge. You don't have to go in the corner. Don't go in the corner. We're going to cut that corner off, so that'll save you a little bit, but go right along the edge. I'm going to start on this side so I can see it better. If you do little areas at a time and glue it down, it won't bow your paper. I found if you do a long strip and then push it down, it tends to curl your paper up. Okay, I'm going to finish this up. My battery went out again. Alrighty. We're almost done. Then we'll put this on our base. Okay, now I'm going to get the base. Alright. Now we're going to take the backings off of the strips. Make sure they're down really good. Push down on them. You can take your bone fuller or just push real hard on your strips to make sure they stay down and that they're secure. I found the best way to do this is to take your craft knife and go underneath the paper, the edge of the paper, and usually it pops it right up. Sometimes if you try to peel it up with your fingernails, it takes the tape up, or tries to take the tape up with it. Doesn't always. Or you can bend it back and then pull on it. That works too. So that's what I do. I bend it back and then take my nail and pull that off. I love making these wagons. Every one of them is different. The best part, I think, is decorating the outside of the wagon. And you see it coming together, and the decorations being put on, and the beauty of it. Fun of it. I think they're fun putting together. Okay, now I'm going to lay this right on top and put it right up against the lines. There we go. Now I got it. Okay, now I'm going to turn it over and press it down really good. Now remember, this is your the undergirth of your wagon. Okay. Now then, now we're going to cut the corners. Right here, you're going to cut the corners off. Now you don't want to cut all the way to the corner of the base, but you just want to cut, I'd say within an 1/8 or a 1/4 of an inch. And then if you need to trim it back more, you can. That won't hurt it at all. But you don't want to trim it too much, and then it shows the corner. That's what we're trying to avoid. Okay, now we can start folding over the edge like that. Now see how nice and neat that is? Alright, now we're going to start on this side. And, oh, I didn't cut that notch out. Okay. Be sure and cut your notch out, because you're not going to need that. Unless you can cut up to it and then pull it in. I think that's what I'll do. Just pull up to it, cut up to the base, and then pull it in. Instead of cutting it off, because you don't want the white to show when you put your axles and wheels on. Okay. Now then. Now we're going to pull this up tight. And there's still a little overhang right there. I didn't trim it off good enough. Be sure and trim it off good. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm going to have to trim that right there. Alright. Now, this one. And I'm going to trim this a little closer to the base. Right there. Alright, now then, this goes up, and this goes up. Okay. Yeah, I didn't trim that one. I'm going to do a little more trimming on that. There we go. Then I gotta do my notches. That goes in. I'm gonna trim this while I'm at it. Trim my notch for the axle. Don't pull it too hard because you'll tear it off, but just pull it up snug. Okay, there's that one. There's that. You need plenty of overhang because when you put the top piece on, it's going to come just to the edge. And if you've got it too short, your base is going to show, and you don't want that. Okay, now, we're going to move that to the side for a minute. On your top piece, this piece, is 9 inches by 5.5. You will cut the notches out of these. You don't need to turn those down because you've already got some to turn up. So, unless you want to, but I don't suggest doing that. Okay. Okay. Be sure and trim these out. You could do it this way, or you could do it with your craft knife. I think I'll do it with my craft knife because I'm getting cockeyed. So I'm going to cut it right along here. And that's just easy as that. And I'll take my scissors and I'm going to snip that. Snip that. Snip this. And snip this. Now, take my craft knife, cut along the line. So much easier and quicker, I believe, to do it that way. Alrighty. Now we're going to put the score tape on this just like we did the other. You're going to go right along the edge. Make sure you get it on the edge. Do put it on the notches this time. We didn't on the last time, and that worked out just fine. But this time you will put them across the notches. I think I'm going to go ahead and put this on, and I'm not going to bore you with this either, so I'm just going to come back in just a few minutes as soon as I get all the tape on this, and we're going to put it on together. Okay, be back in a few.